Okay, so we're getting into chemical equations, and we're going to learn basically the language of chemical equations today. So this language is going to be very important when we get into chemical reactions after break, so that I can just throw out an equation and you know how to read the reaction and know what's inside of it. This builds on everything we've done from the periodic table until now. So identifying these elements is going to be very important. So when we read when we read a formula, it reads it like a recipe. Like recipes tell you the ingredients and how much is needed to make it. A chemical formula is like that kind of recipe. So it tells you how many of each atom or each atoms of each element there are. So, for example, in this formula below, you have 3H2O. Now, the 3 in front in blue is called the coefficient. It tells you how many of the following compound there is. The little number 2 tells you how many of the individual element there is in front of it. So the H comes before the 2. The 2 represents 2 hydrogens. So we're going to start with the subscript. All right, so it represents the number of, let's say, the amount of the element that came before it. So the subscript tells you the amount of the element that came before it. And writing these do not change the subscript. So the amount of elements that came before it. So in this one, H has 2. So 2 says that there are 2 H's. If there is no subscript, that just means there's one of it. So that means there's one of the atom in the compound. So the subscript, you cannot change. You can change the coefficients, and we'll get to that later. But you cannot change the subscript. For example, if I accidentally put a 2 behind the O, H2O is water. You can drink it. It's healthy. It's good for you. H2O2 is hydrogen peroxide. It's great at killing germs and bacteria, even the ones that are inside of you, which you need to live. So it is not healthy to drink, and it's not good to drink. So H2O2 is hydrogen peroxide, like in the brown bottles. Don't want to drink that. H2O, good to drink, healthy for you. So if you break down the word subscript, it means under the script, under the writing. So to help you remember, there are these small numbers in the formula. And each letter represents its own element. So H is hydrogen and O is oxygen. And those come straight from the periodic table. All right, so next is the coefficient. The coefficient tells us how many of the following compound there are. Okay? So think of it like the 3 times 2 example. All right, so the 3 times or 2 plus 3. All right, think of it like that. So if I were to do that, let's write this out. So in my example that I did for the warm up, remember it was 3 right? So this is the same thing as saying, oops, that's a bad arrow. 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3. Okay, so each one of these equals 5, so it'd be 5, 10, 15. So do you all understand that this is a short way to write all of this? Does that make sense? Waiting. All right, does this make sense? Be honest. Yes? Okay. All right, again, I apologize for the writing. I'm doing the best on my screen. No, this is just an example. So I'm just demonstrating how this works. So if I in the chemical formula, I have H2O. If I write I have the 3 in front with the coefficient, that says that I have H2O 3 times. H2O, H2O, H2O. So there are 3 separate water molecules. That's what this means. So in this scenario, how many hydrogens would there be total? So this plus this plus this. Good. So there are 6 total hydrogens and 1, 2, 3 total oxygens. So writing the 3 in front is like putting a parenthesis around a math problem. And just like in a math problem, remember, if there's no subscript, it's like an invisible 1. So you do 3 times 2, and then 3 times 1. 3 times 2 is 6, 2, 4, 6. 3 times 1 is 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's where we're going for the next part. Does anyone have any questions on this before we move on? Does anyone need more time to write down the coefficient and subscript? I'll give you guys. Oh no, yeah, just what I typed, not the what I drew in green. So make sure you guys have this periodic table pulled up too. All you need to do is reference it. All right. So when you pull it up, all you're gonna need to do is to be able to look at it. Remember that shortcut trick. If you hold down Control and hit F, you just start typing in the element you're looking for. So say I'm looking for vanadium. I just put VAN and it starts popping in and it's right here. Or say I need a symbol CR, comes up. That's a quick way to find things on the periodic table if you don't know where they are. All right, so I'm switching tabs now. Remember, we're in the week 15 folder under the Understanding Chemical Formulas assignment. So now this table is actually pretty simple. All right, so we're going to use what we did up top here, down below. So what you're going to do is you're going to break down each compound by the individual elements that are in there. Now, be careful. Anytime you see a lowercase letter, it belongs to the letter that came before it. So Na is an element. H is an element. Now notice CO are both in capital letters. That means they are two individual elements. For every capital letter, you start a new element. CO, in this sense, is carbon and oxygen. If you look on the periodic table, CO as an element is cobalt. Those are two wildly different things. Carbon and nitrogen, both oxygen, both non-metals. Cobalt, a metal. Very, very different things. So please be careful when you read these. Look for lowercase letters, like again down here in HG and C and L. This is an L, by the way, not an uppercase I. Then it is its own element. So what you do next is you write down the symbols. So I see Na, I see H, C, and O. And so I write all those down. Next, you're going to write out the full name of the element here. And then for the subscripts, if there's no subscripts, put down a 1. So that means if there's no little number that follows the letter, put down a 1. So in all of them except for oxygen, there's a 1. For oxygen here, there's a little 3, so you put that here. Then you add them up. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3 equals 6. And that's all you do. So I'll walk through this one and one more to kind of give you an idea of how this all works. Okay, so we should be on number 2. Follow with me. What I type, you should also type. So we're going to start with carbon. C. I see the letter C. The next one is H. Next one is oxygen. CHO. C on the periodic table is carbon, like I said. H is hydrogen. And O is oxygen. Everyone with me so far? Yes. Okay. So if you look, I'm looking for the subscript. So the subscript for carbon is the number that follows the C. So there should be 12. Number that follows H is 22. And the number that follows O is 11. So you can add these up and do the total. So I do 12 plus 22 plus 11. All right, now add these up, I get 45. That means there are 45 atoms in this compound. And these are all real compounds. So if you want, you can highlight them, right click and go to explore. And this one's called sucrose. Sucrose is another word for sugar. Up here, this is called sodium bicarbonate, something you know as baking soda. So these are all real things. You can go ahead and look them up if you get curious when you're done. All right, I'm gonna do this one here. All right, so if you need to pay attention and see which one I'm pointing to, because I'm not doing the next one. I'm going to show you how to do this one. Okay. So, list the symbols. Hg is 1. Notice how it's an uppercase and a lowercase. So that means it's its own element. And then Cl is next. You can tell me what Hg is. Use your periodic table. What's Hg? Okay, technically it's a liquid. What is the element name for it? Remember, go to your periodic table and just type in Hg. Control F, Hg. Thank you, Devana. Very good. Mercury. Mercury is correct. So mercury comes first. And then chlorine is next. So when I look at the subscripts, you can see that Hg doesn't have one. So Hg is by itself, so it's just going to be a 1. Cl is followed by a 2. So that means that there are 2 chlorines there. Now, when you go into this final step, you're going to need to check to see if there's a coefficient. In this one, there is. So you see there is a coefficient right here. I'm going to put it in red. This means that there are 3 HgCl2s. It's like saying this. That's what it'd be like if I said this instead. So if I do that, that gives me 3 times 1. Makes 3. And then 3 times my chlorine of 2. 3 times 2. 6. So I have a total of 9 atoms in this compound. And if you look here, 1, 2, 3 Hgs, 2, 4, 6 Cls. And that's what I got there. All right. So here's the deal on this. I want you to go ahead and listen, try every problem to finish this for homework. Tomorrow we're going to go over it. And when we go over it, you'll get points for doing it. So we're not going to worry about being right or wrong. When we go over it tomorrow, we're going to all have the right answers when we go over it. But we need to make sure we have the right answers. If you don't turn it in before we start class tomorrow, you're going to lose points for not doing the homework. Does that make sense? Okay. So all I want is an attempt. Don't worry about whether you're right or wrong. All you have to do is try. If you need help, I'm going to post this video on YouTube so you can watch it there. Okay. So check the YouTube channel tonight. I will be attaching the YouTube video to this assignment. So check back here today, like around 3 o'clock. I'm going to try to do it during my office hours. I'll put it up. It will be up by the end of the day. So make sure you check back. If you need my help, come to my office hours. They're posted in the chat. They're from 2 to 3 o'clock. 2:15 to 3. All right. So again, please, please, please try this tonight. All right. And turn it in. Yeah. Okay. So again, go ahead and make sure you attempt this tonight. So when you attempt it, what I'll do is I'll make a note on your document that you did it and you attempted it. If you don't, you will lose points. Again, you have to try. All right. So again, check YouTube back for us later. And that's all I got for you, and you are free to go.